Hello, everybody, and welcome to Toy Geeks. My name is Jay Gladfelter from Geek Dad Life.
And I'm Dan Larson from Secret Galaxy.
And we're here to dive into your favorite toy lines 1 year at a time. I think I said Gatfelter instead of Glatfelter. I don't think I said that right. But
you'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be fine. And we are here diving into Star Wars Power of the Force 2, the triumphant return of Star Wars to toy shelves. And we have covered 95, 96, Shadows of the Empire in 1996. And now we arrive at the special editions year, 1997. And joining us in that discussion is none other than Ken Plume. Welcome to the show, Ken.
Thank you for inviting me on. Looking forward to it.
Excited to have you here, just because your background. I was a big Schmodcast fan back in the day. See, I was because I told my wife, she's like, "Why do I know that name?" And I was like, "It's probably because of Schmodcast, maybe." She's like, "I think that is. I think that's where I know him." But anyway, excited to have you here. I assume you're a big Power of the Force 2 fan, Star Wars fan.
Yeah, we can get into the sort of complicated feelings that I have about it and how it has evolved since then.
Okay, very cool. But you're a toy collector, obviously. You got a bunch of toys behind you.
Yeah, you got a few things there behind you.
Yeah.
Just a bit.
So like, tell us about, what toy collecting is for you, or like what got you into it.
Oh, just an emotional refuge, like for all of us. No, I mean, I think always that kid that very much focused on accumulating as much of a line as possible once you got interested in a certain subject. And the late 70s and early 80s really was a great pipeline to filling that mania when it came to those sort of things. So, I mean, pretty much right off the bat, Smurfs.
Okay.
What else would have been? So Smurfs,
Star Wars. Were you into vintage Star Wars?
Very much into vintage Star Wars. That big Millennium Falcon Christmas.
Okay.
So many kids were lucky enough to have at that time. And then you realize that there were no figures to go with it because the entirety of the Christmas went to the Millennium Falcon.
Okay. Did you have any figures up to that, or was that the first thing you got and then you just had to pretend to have figures?
It all blends together. I remember there was an Incredible Hulk Christmas with an Incredible Hulk that threw a boulder.
Okay.
That was a big thing. I think a Spider-Man was in there. So this would have been 79. The Incredible Hulk boulder throw would have been. For the income level in retrospect that my family was at, it is astonishing the amount of toys that I got in that period. My Gilligan's Island playset.
I think that's a shared sentiment, honestly. When I look back at photo albums and think about how much I have and know what my dad was just in the Navy, he's just a Navy guy, and like my mom wasn't working, but for how much we had, it's
and my father was the Marine Corps guy, and so yes, it was not a massive amount of income, and enlisted as well. So it was not the rich side of
same. Yeah,
we didn't get to go to the nice pool on base.
yeah.
Similar for me as well. Definitely working class, just getting by, and that's just it. I do thank my parents, we always had good Christmases and good birthdays. That's when things would kind of happen, or we'd get those things. But it's kind of what makes it special, or it's their fault. I don't know what to do.
It's weird how things would trickle in, though, because I remember that there were a lot of trips to I don't know about the bases that you were stationed at, Dan, but there was the toy store that was on base at Quantico. That was a huge thing to get to go visit. It was offsite from the PX. It was Toyland, but it was combined with the offsite garden center.
Yep.
And it was in a Quonset hut that had been converted into this. And that was where I saw the USS Flag for the first time. And got the first immediate solid no on a toy from my mother. And I said, but I can sleep in it. It's great. It's a bed.
Yeah.
I guess I'd never been to there. Like for those maybe never, what would you compare it to? Like a Toys R Us or something different? Or
No,
It was more
no,
like
okay.
a really well stocked department store.
Okay.
Toy.
Yes,
Like there was toy aisles.
Toy aisles.
Yes,
Okay.
in my experience, year round there was always like a toy section. You know,
Okay.
like the Navy Exchange, regardless of the base, always had like a toy section in it. You have like housewares and whatever, not the size of a Target or a Walmart or anything like that. Much smaller. And then every Christmas season, Toyland would come out where they expanded it like 2 or 3 more rows. That was my experience. And then sometimes there was like a smaller shop that was more of like a convenience store type of thing, and they had a little bit of stuff in the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing to the scale of a Toys R Us for sure.
And Quantico was a pretty big base.
Yeah,
that was a base I never
Virginia,
got to.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
Northern Virginia.
Yeah. Okay, I've driven by that many times. I have no clue though. But so like, were they discounted for like
I mean,
military
everything was more moderately priced when it came to off-base purchases.
Mm-hmm.
So it was geared to that, but it wasn't like it was fantastic savings.
No, yeah. I honestly don't remember. I was never old enough to be spending my own money in those kinds of situations to have a memory of what it cost.
I just got to remember the yeses or the nos.
I distinctly remember, like, okay, now we're in the car. I've ripped the thing out of the package, and now I'm sitting here with Storm Shadow. I'm going to be the envy of every kid in the neighborhood.
Yeah. And then you'd work out the elaborate trades, that little kid black market that was not approved by parents.
I ain't trading nothing.
I've brought this up with Dan before. Like I was a big trader trading toys as a kid, but Dan did not believe in the trades.
Absolutely not. No trading. No. If you left something outside in the playground, I'm keeping it. That's the trade. That's as far as the trade goes.
I only did one big trade as a kid, and it was when I was done with G.I. Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason had gotten back into Transformers, and I traded all of my G.I. Joe figures for a Megatron.
Oh, okay.
Which to me seemed like a decent deal, but if you actually parsed out the money of all of the, because I had a decent collection of G.I. Joe figures.
How many Joes to the one Megatron?
They were probably 30 at least. Yeah. But at that point, it's like, oh, this little bit of whatever value this has will get me that thing. That was the currency that we had. That was the only thing that I had as a kid.
If all those things were still mint now, I think you would have the current market value for those Joes versus the Megatron. I think you won that deal.
Well, joke's on them. The battle helmet Cobra Commander that I found in the woods, his helmet was a silver crayon to replace the silver that was gone from it. So
take that.
You got it just close enough to
it worked. Passable. It worked. It was better than the eye repair that I did with a ballpoint pen on my Han Solo, my Bespin Han Solo.
That's awesome. And do you still have that Megatron? Do you still have the one you traded for?
I have no idea what happened to that. I don't know if this is the same for you two, that there are certain things that were very prominent in your childhood that you just have no idea what the circumstances for their disappearance.
Sure, absolutely.
Whether you gave it away or a family member gave it away without your knowledge, like my entire Star Wars collection.
There's a lot of that going around.
Yeah. We call it toy trauma. We usually dig into it at some point. So Dan has quite a few stories of accidentally stepped on or thrown away intentionally.
Movers, busted something. All that.
It seems like there's something there with your Star Wars toys. What happened with the Star Wars toys?
What made you think that? No, there was a weird transition of moving between bases. Probably it would have been 90, 91, where I went on a visit to California to visit my grandparents there, and then my grandmother in Virginia Beach, and then came back, and there was a lot of moving, shuffling, and just things were gone. My real Ghostbusters also were gone. All of them. The
right
firehouse.
Jay's heart. Right to Jay's heart.
Oh, I have a photo of my setup, my real Ghostbusters. I
The last
remember
day you were happy.
I remember when I transitioned, because I used to go around. The great thing having a father in the military is you had access to a flight suit, so I could put that
Oh,
on and pretend
yeah.
to be a Ghostbuster and ride around
Nice.
with the proton pack I made out
Yeah.
of a concentration game and a microphone.
Nice.
And I had my little light bright was the ghost containment unit, and the ghost
that's
I would also
perfect.
always capture was my Rancor.
Perfect.
Nice. That's
Perfect.
awesome.
So
Yeah.
but yes, all those things just disappeared.
Dang. So
I will.
what was the
Go ahead.
explanation? I'm sure you asked, like, what the
given
hell?
to my cousins. And the problem is that my aunt was this inveterate purchaser of toys for my cousins,
Uh-huh.
but they would never open them. They just go into the attic. So she has unopened Ninja Turtles, like they were big Ninja Turtles when that line, like just, and because she had 2 kids, she would buy doubles of them, and they're all just sitting in this storage in this
Still?
attic. And so the line was always like, I would really like my Star Wars stuff back. I was like, well, we can't get into the attic to find anything. If we ever do, I'll let you know.
Look,
Wait.
give me. All I need is like 20 minutes. I'll get in
Yeah.
there. I'm
So
in
is
the
this
attic.
still unresolved to this day? Are they still in the attic?
So this is 30 plus years going on,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
And I got an outreach that they started going through the things to try and downsize some stuff.
Like just like in the past couple months? Like
and this is within the past 6 months.
holy crap. Okay. All right.
And she said, I think I might have found what I think are some Star Wars figures. So she said, I'll send you a photo.
Okay.
And the thing that clinched that they were mine was the center of the photo. There was a Bespin Han Solo with his eyes looking like he was out of Event Horizon.
The one you just mentioned.
The one that I had replaced with the ballpoint pen eyes.
Yeah.
So some of my figures have been found. It's just now a matter of getting them.
When? Like where is she? Like we need a
timeline of delivery.
Yes.
Well, Dan's closer. Dan, can you make a trip down to Quakertown, Pennsylvania?
Oh, yeah, sure,
you want to go pick them up? There's
Like,
Wawa. There's a Wawa in it for you. I'll treat you to a hoagie.
Done.
Like
Yeah,
this,
for sure.
because all of these toy trauma stories we've never had one yet
There's no
where
recovered. Yeah.
yeah, there is a
Although, Toy Otter, he had
Right.
gave it away and then got him back.
Yes,
He did
yes.
go through that. Yeah.
Yes, he did. But this one especially because given away without like your consent,
Yeah.
and
No.
and now you could actually get them back. That's amazing.
Even one figure. Yeah, sure.
Just one.
So if you, I found, here's the photo. I'll show you the.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah. If you're just listening,
Hold on, I'll make you big. Yeah.
Photo of Bespin Han from waist up, and he's got painted in eyes.
Learned a lot about customizing that day.
Dead Han Solo.
But here's the photo that they sent initially.
Okay.
Oh, geez.
See if you can identify.
Are those Captain Power figures on the bottom left?
Yeah. Who is you would know better than I.
I don't remember his name, but yeah, it's the head bad guy on Captain Power. 2 of those.
Yeah. I mean the accessories are who knows?
Who cares?
What the accessories are on these things, but just to have that Han back, like the one touchstone to have back.
Yeah.
To also know that I had not just created this hallucinatory story of customizing this thing.
Have the artifact now,
and to have of all the ones to be recovered, for it to be that one as an identifier that no, that's mine. That's a story I've told before you even said you found these things again.
Yep,
that's cool.
Not a lot of kids out there coloring in the eyes of.
So in a court of law, we can trace this. So that was a big moment. So now I know they exist. So for for many years, it was in this weird quantum state.
Yes.
Of I know they were given. Were they thrown out? Was that just a lie that was told to me and they went to live on a farm upstate?
Right in the dumpster, yeah.
So okay, so there is evidence that they are up in the attic. Does that mean the Ghostbusters are there too?
That's right. I was going for the rest of it. I'm like, tell me about these 2 sets of everything that's still carded.
Yeah, plus the carded.
It is ridiculous the amount of stuff.
Oh
Like
my
regular
that
trips
sounds like
to
a honey hole.
Toys
Oh
R
my
Us.
Because I can go
gosh.
tomorrow, Ken. If we're talking about a deal here, I can go tomorrow. Like,
Yeah. You wanna set up a few tables at your show next year?
Yeah.
You wanna unload the Quakertown collection?
Yeah, I
No,
kind of I want to see what's up there. I want to see what's up there so bad.
I just want these back. I mean, the Ghostbusters ones would be great because I had most of the Ghostbusters
Yeah.
line. But the deeper emotional connection really was and the deeper trauma was the Star Wars
Yeah.
figures. And that's the one to really fixate on because that's the one I also came back to, and I never have come back to Ghostbusters in the same way.
Mhm.
Have you
having-
been coloring in the eyes of your Han Solos? Just whenever they put a new Han Solo out, Black Series, like
just
Legacy,
to mark
whatever.
them as mine. Yes, that's how I know that no one is ever going to claim that they're theirs. Yeah.
Are you sure this
okay.
is the Ken
Yeah,
Plume
you have
collection?
your Boba Fett collection. I have my hollow-eyed Han collection.
Yeah.
I have thousands of hollowed-eyed Hans.
Okay, so this happened what 1990 something when they're given away, or
1991, yeah.
1991 during the dark ages of Star Wars, right? It wasn't around. We've talked about it past couple episodes. Did you have a period of not collecting toys or kind of,
No, we would always hand off to some other interest.
Okay.
Toy interest,
Okay.
collecting wise.
Okay.
So that's what would go from, like I said, Smurfs to Star
Sure.
Wars to G.I. Joe to He-Man to Transformers to where exactly what the chronology was, but yes, there was always a handoff to what then Ghostbusters, then Ninja Turtles. It was getting a little bit sort of like, I like these, but it's not in the same way that I have to have.
Yeah, no, by the 90s, I mean, you're already into like Star Trek Turtles and Baseball Turtles. And
but I think the thing that picked up the baton in the early 90s, because I had always been a comic book fan, was that when you had the Marvel figures start to hit big time, and I had superpowers in the 80s as well. But yeah, I think Marvel was the thing that sustained until we now we're talking about Power of the Force 2, but yeah, I think it was the Marvel figures that was the thing that kept the 90s going for me. No other lines really interested me at all. I was high schooler by then. But the comic book colors, oh no, these are cool because they're representations of these characters that I've loved my entire life. And that wasn't play. Those were for display.
Exactly. So was the Toy Biz Marvel, was that your like, I'm a collector now, not a kid playing with toys? Or
I think I always thought I was a collector because I was always I knew what a collection of these things was, and then the notion of a collection of these items, and the fact that you had checklists, and the fact that you could see what else was in a line, and you could see what you were missing. So I always had an awareness of what collections and collecting was. I think it's not until you get to being a teenager and you understand money and what things cost, and then you can start making decisions based on how much you actually need something or want something. And
that's when you start criming.
Yeah.
Ken, I don't know if you listened to the earlier episodes in this podcast, but Dan had a period of notorious shoplifting to get his
stuff across the board. Yeah,
to get his figures.
The toy burglar.
The toy burglar. Yes. Dan, we need like a kid picture of you, but like Hamburglar style. Just
I'll find it. There's definitely a picture of me. One year I dressed up as like a bandit. So I'm wearing
really
the cowboy mask, the Lone Ranger style mask. I got the scarf around my neck, got my gun,
that sack full of toys that no questions asked
over the shoulder.
And instead of a $, it just has an Ames or Zayres logo, the big Kmart K on it.
Okay, where were you when Power of the Force 2 was announced? Like, how did you hear about Star Wars coming back?
I think by then, because that was announced, like one of the big announcements was in Toy Fair, right? I think I already was getting sort of Wizard and Toy Fair, I would have had an awareness through that because I was plugged in to that. But I think the bigger thing was probably walking into Kmart and actually seeing them on the shelves and being like, oh wow, this is a thing again, Star Wars toys. Or because I missed the Bendums. That was completely just
You
not on
missed
my
or
radar.
just denied their existence.
Well, it's not like there was a wall of Bendums that you could
I
not
felt
help
like there
but
was.
notice.
Laughing at me, like saying, "This is all you can have."
JB Toys has blame. I will point out that the first issue of Toy Fair has the ad on the cover.
Oh wow, okay.
So it would have been Wizard because obviously Toy Fair.
It would have been Wizard. Toy Fair gets spun off. Issue 1 is September '97. So
okay, so yeah, Wizard.
I mean, I can't imagine them not buying an ad in Wizard.
Oh, I'm sure it's in Wizard.
Plug,
Last
because
episode,
Wizard had a dedicated toy section before they launched Toy Fair.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we had talked to Toy Art, and he had said Hero magazine had the first official. And if you were like me, you were scooping up all those magazines.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I had to get my Bone exclusive Bone story, the holiday story from Hero magazine.
Yeah, all of it. This is whatever they were putting their names on, for sure.
And so were you just an observer, or were you like, oh, okay, I'm getting back into this now, I'm gonna get back into Star Wars? Like, where were you at?
There was that visceral reaction to seeing them in the store in Kmart, and they had come out, when was it summer of 95 when they streeted? When was the actual street date?
Kind of late summer.
So I had
95.
already graduated, and this was before I left for NYU.
Okay.
So I think it was in that time where I was flush with graduation money that I shouldn't be spending.
Are you class of 94?
I'm class of 95.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a year younger than you.
Yeah.
Worlds of
life ahead of him.
Yeah. You were already jaded by then. Yeah. Life hadn't broken me quite yet. It was coming. That was my year at NYU. But yeah, so I think that, and then it was, I had a friend in town, also a school friend, who also was just as excited about it. So we would do sort of Kmart runs to see what, when you had cross sells on the back of packaging, you could see what you needed to find and what was available.
Yeah.
Or what they said was available.
Yeah. In theory. Yeah.
Yeah. But there wasn't, there was a lot more places to check. But we didn't have a Toys R Us in town at that point.
Okay.
So it was basically the run. You had either Walmart or 3 Kmarts.
Okay.
2 Roses.
Nice.
But
Roses
also,
is North Carolina exclusive.
Yeah,
I've only known of them.
I've never
here.
heard of Roses. Yeah.
yeah. That's like a Caldor, or it's
Caldor.
one of those regional department store.
What's great is there are still Roses in North Carolina, and if you go in them, I don't think they've been changed in 30 years.
Oh no, it is, and I don't think the lights have been changed.
Yes.
There are sections of those stores that are unlit.
There was
it's like walking into a cave.
Yes, there was a Kmart here locally that closed probably like 4 years ago at this point. Actually, it might have been before pandemic. But like you're saying, they hadn't really updated the fixtures. They hadn't done anything. And so if a song came on from like 1986, I would just be like, okay, it's like, I can pretend I've time traveled and I'm in 1986. This is exactly what it would have looked and felt like.
And the tape had elongated, so it has that warble to it.
Totally.
We haven't changed that cassette since 1983.
But
yeah, so we have a Roses still in town that is very much
that's awesome.
A journey into the past.
Yeah.
But also for some reason has like 40 Dryden Voss Black Series in a bin.
Okay.
So I don't know how they get stocked.
They do have a toy section. I go in there sometimes just to kind of get a little, nostalgic. Even though I grew up in San Diego, we didn't have Roses, but it just like any kind of department store of that era, it is literally set up the same way. It's awesome.
Keep hoping for a blue light to go off somewhere, just indicated deals happening.
All right, so those were kind of your toy runs, and so Like how long were you into the line? Were you in like all the way through, or did you eventually take a break, or where were you at with
I
that?
was in all the way until probably the year before the year before episode 1 came out.
Okay, so
And
98.
I think it was budgetary reasons
Mm-hmm.
that stopped it. So a lot of that final year before transitioning into when the figures were getting good in hindsight, I just had checked out just
Mm-hmm.
for money reasons of
Yeah.
not having that sort of disposable income. And I had kept everything. Like I still have all of the Power of the Force 2 that I bought off the
Really?
shelf.
On
Okay.
card, or did you open them?
I've always been an opener.
Okay.
But I always keep the card backs.
Nice.
I did that for a very long time with all of the stuff, especially this era of toys. Power of the
Listen,
Force 2.
I can
the
hold
Toy
up
Biz.
card backs right now.
Yeah.
Hell
The ones that
yeah.
I bought.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool that it's the ones you actually bought because
Exactly.
Jay and I have been going back and forth. He's been like scooping up figures like in advance of the show. Just hit the toy store and spend like $30 and get the whole wave.
The most beautiful thing is just for me seeing the price stickers on them.
Yes.
Sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
That is just a lovely little archaeological journey into the past to go.
Yeah.
It was what?
Yep.
Okay. Well, now I see why I bought it.
Yeah.
Why
I
can't it be that
kept
way?
every card back of everything because I got really into vintage just before this sort of era started. Power of the Force 2, McFarlane, all that stuff. And I was just keeping every single card back, every single card, every box, the Millennium Falcon box, everything. I was keeping everything. And at a certain point, probably around the time I graduated from college, maybe just after that. So 99, 2000, I was like, you know what? I'm not that collector. I'm not that guy. I'm not going to keep keeping everything and worrying about this. The internet exists now. I can look up pictures of stuff. Just, my mom, just one day, I was like, just get rid of it all. This is
So
the
when
first
did
time
your
I gave
threw
heart
it
go-
away?
So when did
or-
your
the first
heart
time I
go
gave her
cold, Dan?
permission to just chuck it all. Yeah.
Vintage packaging?
No, it was
Oh.
vintage. It was,
Oh,
we're talking
okay,
about like early 90s, getting rid of it in like 2001,
Okay. Okay.
Hard.
Vintage. I have
It
a
meant
vintage
nothing to me.
I have a vintage Fett card back, and that gets some carded vintage Star Wars. I would never get rid of that stuff.
Boy, that's like Charles
Ken,
Foster Kane throwing the rosebud sled in himself. I don't need it. Don't care.
I love trash personally. I just got this piece of trash at Toylanta, Superpowers
Nice.
Green Arrow.
I did, since we're talking about it, I did find, I've been finding all this stuff I forgot that I had or didn't know that I had. I did find a 1995
Ooh,
Kenner
that's a good
catalog
one.
and a 1998. So we can go over this one in a couple episodes here.
Ooh, yeah.
But yeah, I wish I'd had this one a few episodes ago because this has the whole launch.
The whole first, launch
this
of
has
it.
Power of the Force in it. It's just always neat to see what else was on the shelves. G.I. Joe Extreme is in here.
Yeah.
Batman, Superman.
Which one is that you just held up?
That's
This is
95.
What's the cover of the one you're looking at?
This is
Pure Toy Geeks right here.
Okay,
action,
so
action hits.
here's the one that was at the speeder bike.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm assuming that this may be the 97 one.
Possibly. It should have a date on it. It should have a date on there somewhere. But yeah, this is the whole first wave.
Speeder Bike is 96, I think, because I think we
just went over it.
that one. Yeah. But Speeder Bike could have still been in 97.
The Jim Carrey mask toys in here.
Oh, I know.
96.
John just got a whole set, the whole wave of those in his shop, and I'm like,
I can't imagine they're worth anything.
They're not, but I want them.
You want to go through the starting lineup and see how many we can still talk about?
Tell me who's on the Padres.
I don't think Padres had any starting lineup figures in 1995.
One generic guy just had Padre on his back.
We would get Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn we'd usually get. But
it was literally just a priest. It was just
yeah, exactly. I don't even think they have. I don't think starting lineups in this one.
Nerf.
Anyway.
All right. Let's talk about 1997. It's a big year for Star Wars because that's the special editions year. Dan, what did the special editions mean to you?
Huge. It was huge. We had been in my dorm. We had been watching the trilogy, pretty much a movie every single, at least one movie every single day. VHS. just plugging those things in constantly. And so they had, prior to the special editions, they had released the original versions.
Yep.
In pan and scan and widescreen, and I bought both.
Mhm.
Like I was just had to have both, and we watched every single one of those. Like everybody in the dorm had, memorized them. We were just all in on Star Wars. So the special editions coming out, adding stuff to it. I went to school in Rhode Island, so the Boston Museum of Science and the Omnimax Theater, the Mugar Omnimax Theater,
Mhm.
was at the Boston Museum of Science, and so myself, my friends, bought tickets for the show, and that was when they did. It was like a big. If you don't know what the Omnimax Theater is, there's IMAX theaters, which are just
Okay.
like a big movie screen, right? You're just it's just
Oh,
a
is that the
very large.
curved one?
The Omnimax one is the dome,
Yes.
where you get
Yes.
this like 180-degree experience. And so for the special editions, the first previews of the special edition footage you were going to get to see from New Hope, episode 4, was going to be like the Ronto, that shot going into Mos Eisley, and then the
Mhm.
dewback. And that was going to be part of a sort of special effects presentation, Star Wars movies and stuff at the Omnimax Theater. And so we scooped up our tickets, got in line, went and saw this thing, and we're just seeing new anything related to Star Wars was just such a big deal.
That's
Now.
cool.
It's so bustling now.
Well,
Once the movies
right.
came out. Once the movies
Okay,
came
all right.
out.
So that's excitement. Okay, movies come out. Where
Once the
you?
movies came out, now you can start to have issues with whether or not this is right and whether or not we should be doing this culturally,
Did you feel that way?
artistically.
Did you feel that way?
Initially,
Or-
no. It was just so exciting. It was just so exciting to see some of the things fixed that you had been like laughing at all the time.
Sure.
The sort of, to get that land speeder to look like it's hovering through the desert.
Yes.
It's just like
Vaseline.
like Vaseline on the
Yeah.
lens. Yeah,
Right.
right. Just to kind of blur it out.
The technical tweaks that everyone thought was going to be the extent of it.
Hide those mats around the TIE fighters and stuff a little bit more, you crisp up those things. It was things like characters getting replaced in scenes that it was like, whoa, what are we doing here? The absolutely abominable first pass at Jabba and Han walking around him. Like, I don't know if you remember, there were multiple versions of that CG Jabba. And it didn't look.
This is the first one. Ken's holding up the first one.
It looked like a Super Mario Brothers character. It was awful. It looked like a cartoon.
Terrible.
And that step around they did with Han to make it look like he was stepping on his tail was awful.
So bad.
Dan Mabuki.
I still hate it. I still hate it. Get out of here, Jabba. Nobody likes you. Like, it was so neat though, because you knew at least at the core that you were seeing things that you had only heard about, like and read about in Starlog magazine or whatever. Like, you knew there was footage out there. You'd seen Friar Tuck Jabba in pictures before. And to actually get to see that footage of Harrison Ford playing Han Solo, gratuitous Boba Fett shot in the background, whatever. He looks right in the camera. It's so stupid.
But also
like,
beautifully restored. I mean, the actual
absolutely.
everything around it and the film quality itself was like it had just been produced. That was the most astonishing thing of seeing how clean that thing could feel.
Well, I do remember the teaser for it. It was like for an entire. It shows the like little television, tiny on screen for an entire generation. They've only experienced Star Wars like this, and then the X-wing comes flying out of it. And it's like it was such a big deal.
And you're like, John Knoll.
Yeah,
that's the thing for me, because it. As someone that was kind of born and raised within the dark ages of Star Wars, and my first time seeing it was on a taped over copy on a VHS tape that I watched, that's all I had. And so friends that were older than me, be like, oh yeah, I saw it in theaters. Or my dad would be like, I saw it in theaters. That makes me cooler than you.
It changed my life, and you'll never have that.
Yes, that is literally how it was told to me. And I was just like, yeah, you're right. I am not a complete human being because I have not seen Star Wars in theaters.
I can tell you when Kennedy was shot, when the Beatles were on Ed Sullivan, and when I saw Star Wars in the theater.
Star Wars, yeah,
exactly. You'll never understand. This tape's nice, but you'll never get it. You'll never get it. And so I remember that trailer. I had no idea about it coming back. I just saw it. Went to the movies. I can't remember what movie we saw. But just that moment of the TV screen and that TIE fighter coming through and all of the scenes, it was a religious experience.
yes.
It was a revelation. It was
The
incredible.
thrill of sitting in the theater and anticipating that first hit of the John Williams score
Yes.
as the crawl text comes down, that like just what a thrill. Absolutely.
But also, I think the biggest revelation for the home video generation, of which I don't know if I consider myself part of the home video cable generation, where
Yeah.
most of my film viewing was home video and cable,
Yeah.
volume wise, in that era. And the biggest thing for me was widescreen,
Yes.
where you could see how much of the visual
You had
image
missed.
that was just gone. What do you mean Dengar's in Return of the Jedi? What?
Yeah. Yeah. All
So
of that.
that for me, and that whole era of widescreen becoming an accepted way to present the original vision of the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember my dad would be like, no, we got to find the widescreen version of Jurassic Park or whatever, because we got it. It's cutting off parts of the movie or whatever. And so like that
You
early
rented
stage
the wrong VHS.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It was crazy. And I didn't mind, like we just said, the cleaning up the film, the crispness, the image, all of that stuff. It was things like, the stupid god dang floating droids buzzing into every shot, like, George. And this is what, for our generation, this is what really turned us off of George Lucas. I'll say myself. I'm not going to speak for everybody.
Yeah.
What really turned me off was this sudden obsession with him needing stuff moving around on the screen all the time. Like, you couldn't just let the scene be this. It's fine how it is. It just felt like it had gone beyond, I need to fix the things I couldn't do at the time, to what can I just mess around with?
Yeah.
What can I add? What can I just keep putting in there? Like, it drove me crazy.
Yeah.
Like, we can finally see dewbacks moving the way that you knew that they should have been.
But
These
now
are
we can see
lizards,
them dancing.
It was just too much. It went way too far.
I mean, but it seemed like he had a new toy.
Yes.
And he wanted to see what the toy could do. And he was excited to, I think the expansion of Mos Eisley is great to actually make it feel a little bit
bustling,
less like three buildings.
Absolutely. It was open.
It really is a wretched hive of, of this interstellar transport and smuggling rings and so forth. That all was fine. Yes, there was a lot of stuff that felt like novelty more than necessary additions at the time. Like, oh, this is great to see. It was like, okay, fine. It doesn't add anything to the story. It's like watching bonus features inserted into the movie.
Yes. Agreed.
Like, we lost Lax Sivrak, the Wolfman in the cantina. Like, why did that have to change? Like,
I hope you screamed that out in the theater in the moment. Lack!
This is me in the theater looking around like, did anybody?
The distinct lack of Lack is unforgivable.
I love Lax Sivrak. We haven't gotten to him yet. He's not in the line yet. He's coming up soon. I don't know if he's in the second half of this year or next year.
He may be second half
soon.
of this
Lax Sivrak is one of my favorite. Like, I love that guy. And I get it. I get it as an artist. He wasn't happy with these like Kmart Halloween masks that he had to use for his cantina aliens. That's never the way he pictured it. But what he replaced it with wasn't better.
Exactly.
That like weird elephant looking thing.
Yes.
You don't like Kedwall?
No, and the Rastafarian alien thing with the smoke on the pipe. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, you make me crazy. Like, and then like we get into Empire and Return and all this other stuff, and it's like, did you need to open up the hallway from Bespin? Like when they come around the corner and all of a sudden that whole part of the hallway is gone, you can see the sky. Did that change the urgency of the scene? Did it change the drama? We're going over this old.
Yeah, we are tearing some
and
wounds.
We haven't even gotten to Jedi Rocks yet.
And there's that, and then there's also the it's not no is in the prequels. It's the it's Luke falling down the Bespin thing.
His scream.
Yeah, he screams, and then I want to say that was a running change where they took it out, and so there were versions that were released where he does scream, and there's versions that he doesn't scream because it changed the character.
No, I agree.
This is why George Lucas made me crazy.
So is your favorite version where he just yells "oops" the whole way down?
Yeah. One where he just drops a bird and keeps flying.
Okay, so that's that.
Anyway,
we're working through some things. Dan's working through some things.
Okay, but we haven't gotten to Joe Yowza yet, the DJ Khaled of Star Wars.
I love it all. It's all great. I love it.
I guess for me, I was just so excited to finally get
Yes.
to see it in theaters
Yes.
that it didn't bother me in that time, like when because it was, what was it, like January, February, March
It
or
was,
something like
bang,
that?
bang, bang. Yeah.
Yeah, and what was so cool is like my birthday's in March, so it was like I had a birthday party. I brought all my friends. We all went and saw Return of the Jedi in theaters, and it was just, I don't know, just this event for someone of my generation and like an elder millennial. This was like our time to have like Star Wars in the theater experience, and so it didn't bother me then. It bothered me later when maybe in the early 2000s, when it was just like, oh well, I still want to watch the original ones, and that's when it became a problem for me, because I was just like, I want, like, cool, like, have your special editions, that's fine, but just let me still watch the original. So give me the option. And then that's the thing that's frustrated me more over time, because and then what really ticked me off was the addition of the no to Return of the Jedi. That pissed me off so much. And so I do have the despecialized editions, like
Same.
on Blu-ray,
Same.
and that's what we watch if we do watch Star Wars.
You know, it's a good thing none of that affected an entire generation to just become embittered and just absolutely awful on so many levels about so many things.
I think my lucky stars every day that the internet didn't exist then the way it exists now, because I would have been one of those a-holes.
You weren't straight to Usenet?
Sure. But see, no, I even didn't do it because I wasn't technologically savvy enough to be in those very early, BBS, things. I was just like, I don't even know how to get there. Do I use my phone? I don't know how to get there. So
Ken, where did you stand on all that? Were you fine with it, or were you pissed, or like where were you in that zone of?
I remember all the advertising for, and tell me if I'm wrong. I seem to recall that A New Hope was announced, and that was a big thing.
Yes.
But Empire and Jedi also being released as special editions to theaters was a bit of a surprise. Like, it suddenly was like, oh, not only are you going to see this, but you're going to see the next two as well, and we're going to add stuff to them. Boom, boom, right along. It was going to be a celebration of just A New Hope's anniversary, but it turned into all three of them.
Yeah.
I will say, at least in Allison's research, the original plan was special Star Wars was January 31st, Empire was February 21st, and then they were going to do Jedi March 7th, but they pushed it back to March 14th to give it a little bit extra. I think the first movie, the re-release, added $138 million to the original total run of Star Wars. So I think there was a bit of a surprise it was so successful, and then they kind of then started to build.
Well, you never really had, outside of Disney animated films, big re-releases like that,
right?
Sure, like after VHS, absolutely,
right,
yeah.
So that was sort of a landmark thing anyway, to like, oh no, this is a 20-year-old film that we're going to bring back into theaters, and it's going to make more than it did in its original run in a month.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
No, that and the fact that now in hindsight you can look at, well, no, these also are what was paying for episode 1.
Exactly.
Production. Yes. So any way he was going to be able to milk that for as much as possible, that's just increasing the budget he could play with for the prequels.
Yeah. Did you have any frustrations of the changes, or were you fine with it?
It's difficult to go back with everything that's happened since, because there's been a lot of water. I seem to recall, because in hindsight, like even the Jabba stuff, I think I was more disappointed in the Jabba design, because Jabba was a favorite character, and that's such an iconic imprint of that design upon me. For it not to look like that, like if it had been the same sort of CG quality, but the design was closer to what we saw in Return of the Jedi, I would have accepted it more.
Mm-hmm.
And also, digital characters were a miracle at that time.
Yes.
That is not something that we were seeing to that extent outside of, the T-1000.
Well, it's kind of, he said Jurassic Park was like, oh, I can do this now. You know, I can
But
actually...
Jurassic Park wasn't humanoid characters.
Exactly.
Or, you know, it's not like the dinosaurs were going along delivering dialogue to Han Solo.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. You know, you're right. You're right.
So you know, there was a lot. I think it was maybe just the cognitive dissonance of trying to take in all of these things, coupled with the heightened adrenaline of seeing it in the theater and that excitement, which I think set the stage poorly for everyone's extreme reactions to episode 1 in the theater and the disappointment that came out of that, because I think that's where the expectation games really ratcheted beyond any manageable or realistic level for our generation when it came to approaching any kind of media.
Sure.
And I think it's also that moment when you're faced with your nostalgia and your emotional attachment to a thing, and that being supplanted. Like you were talking about the fact that you were upset being denied being able to see the original versions of these things that had imprinted upon you. And I think that's where it's almost like we were the entitlement generation when it came to our pop culture.
Yeah.
And I think that was a sort of a lightning strike of a catalyst to like, oh, well, this is now you want to see how you're going to be tested as a generation when it comes to whether you can accept change and accept evolution and accept things being different or out of your control because you are not the creator of this thing.
Well, so
you are the audience.
That's the point, though, is where does the ownership of the art change hands?
Yes.
Does it still and forever belong to George Lucas, and he gets to control every single version of it that exists, and only the versions he wants out there get to exist? Or does the art now belong to us? You put it out in the public forum, and now it belongs to us, and so we should be able to see it when we want to see it, how we want to see it.
But I think that's why the concept of public domain exists. When things move into that, at the point that was at, that was a commercial product that we had no control over.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to like it, but we did have to accept that it was not ours to own. We could own our emotional response to it or our rejection of it, but as an object, a physical print or a physical manifestation of whatever that art was, that was in his control. And obviously people found a way around getting to see it. So it's not like it ever went away. It just, there were other ways, you know, like we've never seen that Fantastic Four film that Corman did.
Right. Yes. But yes, we have.
Yeah.
But still, it's a fascinating moment in time, and Power of the Force 2 is kind of like just a part of it. It's a part of that kind of thing. And yeah, I think it's a good moment here to jump into the figures of 1997. All right, so Ken, let's talk about the first half, because we're splitting this up into 2 years here. So the first half of the year, the regular releases, we got 2-1B, ATST Driver, Bosk, Hoth Rebel Soldier, Luke Skywalker and Hoth Gear, Bib Fortuna, Emperor, Han Solo, Lando and Skiff Guard, Weak Ray, Pondo Baba, Rebel Fleet Trooper, Garindin, Long Snoot, and Grand Moff Tarkin. Out of these, what's one that you would love to kind of dive into a little bit?
For me, that I probably had the biggest emotional connection with as a kid, as I always loved and still love, and I think it's just a testament to Ian McDermott, the Emperor.
Okay.
And that was one of the last figures as a kid that I still have a visceral memory of being excited about finding on a shelf when it was eventually released as a carded figure, because it started as a mail away. And I remember never sorting out, as a young child, figuring out how to do the mail away.
Sure, yeah.
To get the mail away figure. So to find it carded, and then like, no, I can get this thing now on a card. I can have the Emperor. That was a big moment. So having that as a
and just a fantastic upgrade.
it looks so good.
And the original Emperor was not awful.
No. But this one's better.
So
Yeah.
much better.
And he's not buff. They didn't make him buff.
Oh yeah.
That was
Yeah.
that for me. This feels like the real transition into away from that
Mhm.
95 start of the line buff era to
Mhm.
naturalistic representations. Like this is when it's starting to feel
Mhm.
like they know, hey, we're dialing it back. We understand. This is what you want.
Well, they've
I don't want to see a
determined.
buff emperor now. I want to see
Yeah.
what they would have
I
done.
kind of want to see the buff emperor. I'm not gonna lie.
I want to see like linebacker's shoulders.
Yes.
It's always been weird because looking back, you have to put yourself in that mindset of no, Star Wars wasn't Star Wars at this time. And Power of the Force 2, especially that first wave, as we've talked about on the show previously, is to test the water to see
Sure.
if it can still be Star Wars. And once it reasserts itself, then they can safely go back and say, we don't need to be superheroes. We can just be Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know about you two when it came to approaching this line is as having lived through the end of Power of the Force, the original Kenner line, and knowing and having that sense that these things go away or can
Yeah.
go away and just disappear
Mhm.
and could never come back. Like
Mhm.
there were so many lines in our childhood we saw end.
Yes.
And you either knew they were ending or suddenly they just weren't on the shelves anymore.
Yeah,
Like
just
you
gone.
may not have moved on from them,
Yeah.
but they're not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And maybe the other kids have moved on to something else and you're trying to play catch up with what is this thing? I haven't watched
Yeah.
that show. What's going on? So I think in the back of my mind with Power of the Force 2 was always, when is this going to end? Like, is
Mhm.
this going to be the final figures that come out? Is it going to be the Emperor is the last one in the line
Sure,
and suddenly
yeah.
it's gone?
Did-
So
Yeah.
I think it almost seemed like acquiring them at that point felt like because we had seen a finite number with the original line, like,
Mhm.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'll collect until they're done, and then I can move on with it.
No, I remember getting, we're talking about Wizard Magazine earlier. I remember getting Wizard Magazine, and each issue they would show the sort of preview of the next, 4 or 5 figures that were coming out, and it was just like, yes, we're just. I want it to last just a little bit more longer. We got Walrus Man's coming, and Dr. Rabazon's coming, and we're just getting into the real obscure characters, and this is really exciting. But yeah, there's always that sort of ticking clock. How much longer do we have? before it ends?
Particularly when they already established, like, we're gonna do figures you never got
Yes.
Right.
and characters that you never saw in action figure form.
But I and Dan and I both have talked about, and Dan especially talked about how you were collecting these at the time. Just like, well, I can't miss one of these because it will go away. And then or Dan's talking about the toy anxiety of, if I don't get one, that's going to be the one that's going to be worth a lot of money.
Blow up. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think also by the time we got to 97 in the line, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in my memory of this, because the thing that was unique about the original Kenner Star Wars line is you could pretty much buy all of the characters throughout the entire run of that line, going back to the beginning.
Yep.
Like they were
Kept them
all
going.
evergreen. They might refresh the packaging, but
Mhm.
the characters are still available.
Yeah.
But Power of the Force 2, I think by this point, hadn't we started to see some characters being cycled out of the assortments and just not available anymore?
Mhm.
So there was that sense of, oh, I can miss this.
Yeah.
And there's no eBay. There's no Amazon. There's no place to actively go and get these things outside of the one comic shop that wants to jack up their prices.
I know.
So there wasn't thoughts of an aftermarket to this yet.
Right.
So it really was, if you miss it, it's gone. And that might be the character you really wanted to see.
Exactly. Let's talk a little bit about, real quick, the green card. 97 was the transition from orange card to green card. What was our thoughts when we saw this on the shelf for the first time?
I'd never been a fan of the hollow foil stickers. Never loved it. No, I much preferred just the straight photograph. And as I recall, on the hollow foil ones, the actual picture is under there.
It is. So
Weird.
When I found that out, I thought, oh, the ones without the holofoils are rarer, which I think they
Sure.
technically are.
Yeah.
So I started like peeling them off slowly so I could be like, I got the rarer one. It doesn't have the holofoil on there.
And they'll never know I did it.
But I didn't know. Yeah, exactly right. But I didn't know the green ones were happening. I just remember the first time I saw them at KB Toys at UTC La Jolla, and seeing it, I was like, oh my god, this is a tent pole moment. This means something. And yeah, but in retrospect, I think I still prefer the orange or the purple Empires over these.
The orange hits harder. It's just it's got a little bit more nostalgia there.
Well, the problem is that holofoil is so close in color to that green, and the way it universally just washes out any of the color from the image.
Yeah,
like if you had that with the orange or a redder card back, it might pop differently. But it's still like, if you look at that, I can't differentiate any actual features on Weequay from that holofoil.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like nothing about that pops.
No, I never liked it.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell they had a little extra budget, so like, let's put a
but
I
also know what was going on in the comic book industry at the time, and somebody at a meeting was like, "Listen, this is how you get the sales.
How do we make it premium? Yeah,
we can't afford holograms.
Real hot right now.
We can't afford holograms, but we can go holofoil."
Yeah.
Oh man, Dan, what out of the figures from that first half of the year do you want to jump into?
We need to talk about Bosk.
Yeah, I know it's your guy. So let's
talk
about him.
I do have a green-carded Bosk here, obviously.
Are we all getting our Bosks out? Is that
okay. I have a carded and a loose one here.
Time to Bosk.
I was talking about this one, I think last episode.
You did a little bit.
I was working at a hardware store that just happened to have a toy section. I had graduated from college, or maybe I was on break, because if this is 97, I must have been on. It was probably the year between junior and senior year of college for me. And I was able to like get that case as it was coming out onto the floor. I was able to get that fresh case of figures and make sure I got the Bosk right out of it. And then had to do the, like, I mean, it's so stupid, right? Because like, am I like 21 at the time, 21 years old, somewhere around there. And like having to go up and it's the 65-year-old lady that's like ringing the register or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's for so I buy it for my nephew, you know.
Yes.
Not for me, you know, just grab
but do your voice in the I'm buying it for my nephew.
Exactly. Yeah. I would also do we sell cigarettes here? Can I also get some cigarettes? We don't. All right. Well, just the 3 action.
Where's the hard liquor?
Yeah.
There definitely was a period
I need a hammer.
Of my late teens, early 20s, where I did I'm buying these for my younger brother that I don't have.
They still sell these things? All right. Well,
sorry, sir. We can only sell it to you if you present your younger brother that you're buying for.
Thankfully for me, I had a brother who was 10 years younger than me. So if that was the case, I would just bring him in. These are for my brother. He's 10 years younger than me. I'm getting
Tom, it's for you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I don't like Star Wars.
Shut up, kid. I'll get you a hammer. Shut up. I love this figure. I mean, talk about an upgrade to the vintage.
Yes,
the vintage barely looks like Bosk. He's adorable, but he barely looks like Bosk. He looks more like a puppet of Bosk. This really puts some meanness, some lizard in that face. You know, I love the gun slung over his shoulder, his claw hands, like the detail on the suit, the silver paint down the front of that, the teeth.
His friendly wave.
Yeah, love this figure. One of my favorite figures of all time, for sure.
I thought this is Power of the Force 2 at its best. We're just like, this looks incredible.
He's not buff. He doesn't have that physique. He looks properly proportioned. He's got a little bit of a, it's not an action pose. It's not perfectly neutral, but he's got a little stance to him that was fine.
Swagger. He's got swagger.
Yeah. But like, look at the little hits of silver on the little whatever the things are in his
bullets
cuff there. I don't know if they're supposed to.
But I think this is one of the ones that really shows, when you talk about the original line, that they're really trying to go for the fidelity of capturing the actual details of the costuming.
That tampoed whatever symbol is on his left shoulder there, and another one on his right shoulder. Like, just, I mean, all those the teeth are tiny, but they're all individually painted. just a sharp action figure. And I do now more than ever, even back then, I appreciate the almost, it's not caricature, it's not cartoony, it's not an animated style, but there is a little bit of a sort of softness to it that I do like, and that is really unique to this line, and I just really enjoy this era of Star Wars a lot.
So would you rank the Bosk higher than the Power of the Force 2 Boba Fett?
Oh, absolutely, 100% for sure. Yes, it is a much better figure for sure.
Yeah. Because the Boba Fett's still stylized. It's still
Well, it's
buff.
still buff.
He's still
Yeah.
He's still buff. And we'll talk about another one in a second here, and he's still buff.
For my pick out of this list, I gotta go with first appearance ever of Grand Moff Tarkin. This was such a big deal.
Never before offered in any Kenner collection.
I think it was on the card back, right?
It's on the sticker. Yeah, right on the front.
Yeah, here it is. Yeah.
Oh, you don't have a carded one, Jay?
I do not. Do you have a carded one?
I have like 6.
Oh, okay. Well, here
I was scooping these things up. These and the Slave Leias. I was scooping them up because again, speculating. You're like, these are the ones. It says right on the package. It's never been offered before. This is going to be super rare.
I'm going to buy my first house.
Practically part of the vintage line, you know, like it's got that sticker right on the front.
Never before offered.
I think I went to, you know, I had my own car at the time and my own money and my own time and whatever. And so I had a day off from work. And I think I probably drove around the state of Rhode Island and hit like, I don't know, 25 different stores over the course of like 3 days looking, because I knew these were coming out. And I was just like, you got any more in the back? It's for my 10-year-old brother, you know?
Do you think managers were calling each other among stores going,
yeah, he's on his way.
Did you get Tarkined? Yeah. Did you get Tarkined yet?
Yeah.
But I just love if that's your, like, what 10-year-old kid want a Grand Moff Tarkin out of all the Star Wars characters?
Everybody was clamoring for him.
He's a huge Hammer horror fan.
Yeah, exactly. He's the real villain of Star Wars. Not Darth Vader. Darth Vader's his dog. He's bad guy. Should have been in line from the beginning. I was so psyched to get him. And I've said I was buying 3 of every figure, 1 to keep, 1 to open, and 1 to put away, you know, for college, for my kids' college fun, for retirement, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And just so excited to open this figure. Just
I love
really,
the overcompensation of giving him not 1 but 2 blasters.
Yeah, like I never had him with a blaster in his hand on the shelf.
No.
You know, the head maybe is a little small, you know.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad head sculpt.
No, I mean, it's solid.
Again, it's not really animated style, but it's got a little bit of an animated style to it. And I dig that. I like it a lot.
I mean, it does look like latter period Power of the Force, like where the line was getting to at the end of the Kenner run.
Fits in. Yep, for sure.
I think you could put that head on a modern figure and it would be passable as a Tarkin.
Yeah, I also have the retro collection Tarkin here.
See, I need to get one of those. I still haven't gotten one.
And it's interesting to see the choices that were made there to really make it, you know, retro as opposed to Power of the Force. You know, not just the coloring of the uniform, but the sort of more neutral pose, that vintage pose, and the way the head is a lot more stylized. But the Power of the Force 2 is just so fantastic because it really was more so than, like, you know, getting that Dagobah Luke.
Yes,
it's just Bespin Luke without a shirt on.
Exactly.
That's not new. That's not. Yeah, this is something that should have been in the vintage line, but wasn't. And now that cosmic mistake has been corrected.
Yes, absolutely. And
it looks great. All his little cough drops are all painted, and everything looks good. Love that figure.
He was a heavy smoker.
So good.
Yeah, he looks great. Any other figures you got here we really want to talk about before we move on? Anything that's
I honestly I can dig into all of them. You know, Weequay was a big one. Lando Skiff Guard was fantastic. Still has a little bit of the wide shoulders, but I love the removable helmet. I loved you know, that he got included in the line that early on. Same head, I think, from the first.
It looks just about the same.
Walrus Man. Go ahead.
I think the 2-1B still stands up. You can still put this in a modern display.
Yep.
Agree. This one looks. This one I was excited about. I thought he looked fantastic.
Yeah. And I mean, the vintage figure is not bad, but this
it's solid.
Polished it up and really made it look sharp for sure.
The translucent. I mean, the original has the translucent plastic, but it's so good.
So good. And that nice sort of I'm not sure what you'd call it, that metallic finish, but it's got that sort of fleck to
pearlescent
it. Yeah,
kind of
whatever.
paint, yeah.
The sort of but love those. Walrus Man is a gorgeous action figure. Again, we talked about Greedo getting a little closer to his actual on-screen appearance from the vintage figure. I mean, this is just spot on.
It looks great.
Stance might be a little bit wide, but for a while, man, I just really dug this figure a lot, and it really had me excited about the line. Yeah, I've got a carded one. I don't have a loose one here. I think I was keeping this on card, and then I'm going to turn this into my loose one. Boba Fett in IG-88. But no, I had this like on my desk, like at work for a while, because I just thought it was such a great representation of the character.
Shine to the eyes.
Compared to all of that, compared to the vintage figure. It was just, again, so neat to have something that actually looked like the character was supposed to look.
Yep.
But also that the weird thing about the line was to really introduce all of the expanded universe stuff. Like, what do you mean Ponda Baba? What's a Ponda Baba?
Yes.
That's a Walrus Man.
It's Walrus Man. Yeah. Get out of here, George.
Got to talk about the other character that could have been in the vintage line, but wasn't. Garindin. Never liked this character design. I always thought it was stupid. Like, you don't
like the plague doctor approached.
Well, I mean, the snout is one thing, but then combine that with his vocalization. You're just like, no, you're not taking this seriously. Take it seriously.
Oh, I can just imagine young Dan and they
this cloak way too heavy. This like heavy rubber cape thing. But the sculpted sort of draping over his arms like that. It was just, again, so cool to have a character that was so integral, and you were just so ingrained in your Star Wars experience. To finally have a figure of that was such a big deal.
Agreed. Why did he not get the first time ever in any Ken collection?
I don't know. Whatever.
Come on.
Bunch of BS.
Yeah, it is.
And then
Tarkin had it in his contract.
Yeah.
It's the only way to get the likeness.
You have to bring up on screen the Rebel Fleet Trooper.
Yes, where is he at?
Second page there.
Right, there you go.
Right below Worlds, man. Yeah. If we're talking about transitional figures between the early Power of the Force 2 and later Power of the Force 2, this dude, Hank Pectorals, I think his name is.
And this is drawn by Rob Liefeld.
Yeah,
this is the most buff of. Yeah, it is. It is the Rob Liefeld Captain America.
Yeah. Where you guys headed? The gym? Let's go. Like, he is so friggin' huge. Like, I don't even know what they could have possibly been thinking. Again, a character that has never been featured in the line before.
Yes,
should have been in the original Star Wars. Never was. And this dude is just Jack McJack. I don't know. He is
call
huge.
My chest the advanced slopes.
He is huge.
It's a shelf. It's a goddamn shelf.
Yeah, I don't know. This might have been the figure where the term swole was actually coined. It is so big. Now, that said, I liked that his vest was removable.
Okay.
Because I pulled that vest off and I put it on the Han and Carbonite Han.
Oh.
So that figure like had a little bit more of a Han Solo look to him. Yeah. Because I hated the Han Solo that was in the collection. The regular episode 4 Han Solo was too jacked, and he was in that weird position. I was like, okay, fine. I'm just gonna kit bash my own.
That's a good call. I gotta try that. I gotta find one of these.
But this guy, holy cow! And I don't know. I don't remember exactly when Hasbro got around to making a new version of this character of this figure. I don't think it was in Power of the Force. I think it was much later.
No, I think it was probably
Legacy or something like that.
No, I think maybe that the original collection at the time of Attack of the Clones had a version of them when they're like the really big, the posed ones.
Yeah, right.
Because I know we also got an Antilles around that time too.
Yeah,
the mid choke Antilles.
Yeah, but like I always love this character design, and like I don't have very much Black Series stuff on my shelves right now. I've pretty much put most of it in the bins, but I do have one shelf that's just like the generic guys. It's like Hoth Trooper, Endor Trooper, Rebel Fleet Trooper. It's just those punching in, punching out, fighting the Empire. Can't get it done without them, but you don't know any of their names. Just those
we love
guys.
the Ralph and Sam characters.
Yeah, just those guys.
He had the jawline too, just insane jawline.
Oh no, he's a tough SOB. Do not mess with that guy. He is Union and he will break you in half. Yeah.
The Endor Gear Han. He doesn't. Well, I guess he's still kind of buff. Never mind. I was looking at. I have him in my hand right here. He doesn't look as buff, but maybe he is still buff.
Yeah, the coat hides a little bit of it, but
Yeah,
that's still an early Han design for sure.
All right. Did we cover all the ones we wanted to cover out of those? Anything else?
I think so. I did like Luke Hoth a lot. I like that figure a lot.
Is a good one.
The second version that comes with the Tauntaun that has the articulated knees, but I dug this figure. I liked this one. This was sort of my default Luke for a while because it wasn't quite as buff as X-Wing Luke or Farm Boy Luke.
And you're getting close to a good Mark Hamill likeness.
Getting there.
Yes,
yeah,
better than the other ones.
For sure. Yep.
That's solid. And then all right, so let's go to the deluxe figures. And Dan, I think you ripped one of these open last week. Yes,
nope.
the
I already had this one open. Yeah.
Yep. With Wing Blast rocket pack.
Yeah.
It's
I didn't really care for these things. What I liked about this was that one, it actually had a firing rocket on it, which I thought was a nice little nod to the vintage figure, and that it came with a different Boba Fett figure. Was
you kind of discovered last episode that it's kind of Empire.
Well, that was the Shadows of the Empire 2-pack that came.
Shoot. Okay, so then what's this?
IC-88. Yeah, this one is just a more neutral stance.
Okay.
Figure that it's not quite as buffed out, and it's a bit more of a neutral stance than the regular Power of the Force.
So would this be your preferred Power of the Force to Boba Fett?
Yeah, I think this is probably the better of the two, in my opinion. And you can still put the Wookiee braids and jetpack on it from the other figures.
Yeah,
if you want it to sort of be your standard.
So you can kit bash it into a closer
solid.
To
yeah.
Nice. Ken, where did you stand on the deluxe figures?
I mean, I thought of all of them, the probe droid was the best thing to have and the best representation.
Agreed.
But you're just getting a probe droid, so let's see.
Yeah, the probe droid I thought was kind of cool.
It was so cool, yeah, because the vintage line you would only been able to get it as part of the Hoth attack base or whatever it was, whatever that playset was. It was just like there was a little
It's got weathering on it, so that was a nice
a missile that can fire and the head blows off, and
yeah, it looks real good.
Yeah, I mean, of the ones that were closer to that and the Snowtrooper, that the cannon accessory with it looked good. He was sort of frozen in, like, it's not a figure that you're going to find a lot of other use for in your line, like, unless it's I'm on my break, Trooper.
But it made sense. It was good. It made sense because you were always going to have him lined up with that cannon anyway. So at least thank you for putting him in a good position, a nice action pose to go with that cannon.
Yeah, he's practically a display PVC.
Yeah,
and that was fine because that gun looked great. And again, that was only, I think, was that a like a pack rat kind of thing, or just like an accessory kit set from the vintage line? I'm pretty sure.
I think it wasn't the accessory kit, right?
Yeah,
that had the
I keep saying pack rat. It's pack rat is G.I. Joe. It's mini rigs.
Yes.
Mini rigs.
Yeah, I thought it was. But I mean, as far as just if you want to display, like, again, that the Rebel soldier, the Hoth soldier, also just a great display bit of kit to have on a shelf.
Yeah. And another, like, iconic weapon from Empire Strikes Back that you hadn't really, maybe, I don't think they had that in the vintage line either. Did they have that? Was that another one?
Was that like one of the?
I think that was part of the playset, wasn't it? That had the dish.
I feel like there was this. But either way, I did like, because that Boba Fett feels like an earlier deluxe figure that was, a red carded deluxe figure, and then with the probe droid, the Hoth rebel soldier, and anti-vehicle laser cannon, and the E-Web heavy repeating blaster and snowtrooper, like, those are just kind of cool. To your point, Ken, like kit sets that just kind of give you a little.
But it also
something.
shows what age we were,
Sure.
let's say from a kid's perspective, these are fun to play with. They're fun little sets. They have action features. They're great toys. This is when, again, the line was still toys and intended for kids.
Yeah.
Which had the side benefit, particularly for the bottom line, to also appealing to all of the adults.
Well, yeah. And those are the lines that have the most legs, right? You still can work for kids, but also the big kids can play as well. All right, let's talk about some of the mail-aways. And I think I'd argue the coolest, or at least at the time, I thought it was the coolest. The mail-away Spirit of Obi-Wan, the Frito-Lay mail-away. And who here actually got this one?
Yeah, I definitely did everything. I had everything. I had multiples of everything. This one, it was like, I gotta get it because again, I was living in constant fear that I was gonna miss out on the thing that was gonna be worth $1 million someday. So I had to get it, but I will also admit to being very underwhelmed by it. It was the same figure, just like couldn't do anything.
Ooh, Ken, is yours still? Have you taken it out of the box?
Oh yeah,
you can get those for like 10 for $1.
I know you can get stacks of them. Oh, look at nice little kind of greenage of the plastic.
Yeah, it's a little discolored over time.
Oh, I mean, it's quite old.
So it's 30-something years old, or almost 30 years old.
Well, that's a second one that I got. I mean, I still have. I mean, my address is on it. I still have the actual.
That's amazing.
That mine came in that I opened at the time.
Oh,
I'm not going to flip it around because I don't need that.
Sure.
But
and
yes, I still have
the buying the chips, the cutting the things, the mailing it, and then the waiting with having no idea when that thing was ever going to show up. There's no tracking number. There's no advance with shipping. That is it.
Also,
just
the
wait.
fact what an end of an era. Coming from Battle Creek, Michigan.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
That's where the move of the Kenner offices.
I was just like, no, please stop. You did Fruit Loops Han, Lay's potato chips, Obi-Wan. Stop. I don't want to chase this stuff. I don't want to chase these things.
I kept the bags. I kept the
so did I for a while.
Somewhere. I still have them somewhere.
Yeah.
Bags.
So were you also mad that the Cantina band member made you have the internet?
No, I had to order 5 of those damn things to make sure I had each character represented. And now you have like 78 different instruments.
Listen, you can save $250 on any Star Wars vehicle.
Hold on, I'll make a big screen for that. Let's...
When's it expire? Is that March 97?
No. September of 97. So you still got time.
We missed it, but not by as much. Yeah.
I mean, the 2 ones they're advertising. You got a snow speeder or
nice
Boba Fett starship.
250.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much.
250. That'll take it down to what? 25.
I don't remember what it was. We did went through the pricing on Slave One last time.
Yeah, gosh. It was kind of spendy, actually, and adjusted for inflation. Okay, 2 other ones here. We have the Bormar Monk, which is still a valuable. This is still a valuable piece.
That?
Yeah. Oh, look at that! Look at you.
That is just an incredible figure. I don't care what.
That I think, but the Bormar Monk is far and away the best.
Just an amazing,
absolutely
figure.
Holds up.
Yeah,
you do not need to update that.
No.
You could do a direct re-release of that.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I remember this when this figure hit, it was like, wow, we're doing something. This is different. We're going someplace else with this, and they're just flexing on what they can do with Star Wars and toys now. This is a different kind of thing.
And deep character, like you're talking background characters. We'll give you a background character.
8 frames, yeah.
Well, this was the first time I didn't read anything or about him or whatever. I just thought it was some robot in the background. I didn't realize it was like the sentient body or brain of this.
That's all just flavor, right?
I mean, that brain bubble.
So
the fact that it had that paint effect on there.
Yes.
Looked like liquid goo and just amazing. And as I understand it, Kenner, Hasbro, had to actually like design this character because what actually appears in the film is just like it's not even a completed thing. And so
Oh, really?
even with like this isn't what it actually looks like in the movie. Like they had to actually like design a character to be able to make a figure out of it.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I have to watch it again. I was like, hey, it looks like that thing in the background.
And you can squeeze his little
Yeah. So cool. So cool.
Great.
This for me it blows the other ones away. Even having Cantina band members. Is there a coupon in here? Oh no, it's the instructions on how to put them together.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Hell yeah. And then this I think you talked about this already, but
we gotta make sure we didn't mention it. The Cantina band member had elbows, and that was
that's a big
deal. To hold the instruments.
That was a big deal for sure. I think you already touched upon this a little bit, Dan, how you got these, right? Because you were working in a movie theater at the time.
I did, yeah. I made sure I secured one, and the date is wrong. You had mentioned in the research just there that it got pushed back. So the date along the bottom edge of the card, on the front there, the bottom edge of the card says March 7th.
Oh, look at Ken still has his. Hold on, Ken. I'll make you large screen here. Look at that. In a bubble,
also,
no less.
That glue did not hold up.
Exactly. That's once mine slipped off. I was like, well, now it's just a regular Luke Jedi because there's nothing about the figure that is any different.
I mean, it's just saving the card, obviously. But yes, the figure is.
I think I kept the card. I have it somewhere because again, it's got the misprinted date on it, and it might be worth $1 million someday.
I remember going up to the local theater and not knowing that they were doing that because it wasn't announced ahead of time. If you it didn't work at a theater at the time, you didn't know that they were giving figures away. And I remember going with some friends and family, and so there were like 4 in the group, and going up and buying the tickets, and I was like, wait, do we get a figure for each ticket? And like, yeah.
Yeah.
The shock of that, already being into to collecting these things, the surprise of getting a figure. I mean, I can't even fathom what the cost was.
No, because keep your popcorn buckets. Give me an action figure.
Yes, exactly.
You want to get people back into collecting? An action figure giveaway.
You want to get them back into movies. Going to the theater. Again, keep your popcorn bucket. Give me
what line would you do you think would be the biggest to benefit?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, if they'd have done anything with Minecraft, obviously that movie's doing huge numbers right now.
I took my boys to that movie, and it was the first time in my life that I had felt pop culture go beyond me. like they were. It was like Avengers Endgame. Like every big moment of that movie, the whole theater was quoting the movie opening weekend. Like I'm Steve. The whole theater said it.
Yeah.
All the kids, and then all these different moments, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I don't know what any of this is."
Yeah. That's awesome.
But for my sons, they were just like, "This means something." My oldest son, after it, and he was like, "Dad, like how many Oscars do you think this is going to get nominated for?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know if it's quite that." Movie's like,
you had to do the
best movie I've ever seen.
You had to do the dad thing and be like, "We'll see, we'll see."
Also, Dad, don't embarrass me. Don't embarrass me. The Minecraft movie. Jeez, you're asking all these questions. Why you keep asking? Quiet. We're trying to pay attention and yell at the screen.
No, but in between both my 7-year-old and my 10-year-old, but mainly my 7-year-old, like, Dad, the reason why that's funny is because. And I was like, okay, good.
Thank you. Yes, it's fine.
And the reason why you're not funny, Dad, is
yeah.
You could learn from this, Dad. You could learn from this.
Are you taking notes, Dad? Because I can't be embarrassed anymore.
I can't take you in public anymore. This will be the last movie we go to.
All right. Let's close out with the creatures. We'll save the vehicles for next week here. I
don't know about you guys. I didn't get the vehicles. This was not a line outside of the speeder bikes. I did not. I think financially it was a bridge too far. To go in, and also life at that age is you don't know how much space you have to navigate with anyway. So display space really wasn't. You're not going to put the Millennium Falcon on your desk at work.
That's fair. Well, I mean,
Well, unless
did
you're
Dan. Let's start with the first new dewback since the original line. The dewback ties in with the special editions for sure, because we got
Dewback
more.
style, yeah, special edition styling. For
Yeah.
sure. Get that chopping mouth.
Oh, look at that.
Those thick thighs.
Oh, so good.
Yeah. So happy.
It's like a puppet.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's great.
Oh yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we got hit with another Pauldron Sand Trooper here. Got
Yeah.
with the gray shoulder
gray.
pad there. He's got that lance. I love it. Love this thing so
He's
much.
still on the buff side though. We're still getting buff.
He's still on the buff side.
Stormtroopers.
Yeah.
I think, but he does have knees though, as I recall.
Yeah, it looks like he has knee articulation.
Mount that gun on his backpack. Love this piece so much.
Just all the scaling. Like, this is a really good looking,
very good. Yep.
dewback.
Yeah, and you can take issue with the design of the dewback itself as a creature, but this is what was in the movie, so I was fine with it. Yep.
How about you, Ken? You clearly still
enjoying it 30 years later.
I mean, how can you not? I mean, this for me is the epitome of a great toy / collectible. You can actually have fun with it.
Yeah.
The fact that it's such a great mechanism and smooth
it's
mechanism.
It's hidden. It's not like a big lever on his back or something.
Or a massive button.
And it's good because it does sort of harken back to the vintage figure as well. The vintage figure, when you move the tail, the head turned.
Yeah.
So
and it doesn't feel fragile either, which is a big thing about it. So
you can weaponize that thing for sure.
I mean, this is basically a weapon in a Cronenberg film, right? But yeah, he's just so cheery. I mean, if you're gonna have it, he looks on model. I mean, that for me always is the biggest thing when it comes to action figure representation, is how close to being on model is it, and this just is, and it's just fun.
Yeah, it's good.
So I think that about creature wise, I think the Tauntaun is as far as on model looks great.
You know what really looks on model? This job.
So this Han is better. The Han is better, right? He's in a better pose. I had this Jabba. I got all the stuff. He's got a tail wagging mechanism.
See, but here's the problem: that this Jabba could be infinitely better. The one, and I've had this discussion, I think on Force 5 with Mighty Jabba's collection. Great channel, great guy, but we talked about it. The one thing that would make this figure infinitely better is you replace those plastic eyes.
Yeah.
That make it look sunken and hollow and dead. If you just painted over that.
Yeah, they're like
with Jabba's eye color, and because that's all the life of Jabba. Right,
you're right.
You know, it looks like he's possessed.
Yeah.
But if you actually put Jabba's eyes and just a wash, because
a little wash. For sure.
There's nothing to bring out the detail on that to not make it seem like it's some kind of stretched rubber death mask. Like it looks like Catherine Hellman in Brazil.
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Yeah. You could fix this figure and make it look infinitely better than it does. But
I appreciate that it's less cartoony than the version that actually appeared in the film.
I mean, the fact it does have, it does have some action to it.
It does.
Han can step over it.
And again, Han is a better version of that Han figure than the first release. It's not great yet, but it's better.
We're getting there.
But
you said the Tauntaun.
For someone who loves Jabba, it's not a great representation.
It's not the best. But the Tauntaun looks really good. Like you're saying, good on model.
Great looking Tauntaun. Just as someone who had grown up with the vintage one, where you stick the figure's legs into the body of the Tauntaun. This was nice to actually be able to put the figure's legs around the body. Didn't love the running mechanism.
But it looks like from the movie. It
but it made it very unstable.
Or a Hanna-Barbera cartoon.
Yeah, it made it very unstable. Hard to get it to stand up.
Fair.
Particularly if that mechanism started to give.
Yeah.
Like if there's any looseness to it.
But I did appreciate that this one has the broken horn. And then I believe the one that comes with Han later on had just a regular horn.
That's cool. That's a nice touch. And then from that original trailer, seeing the
swinging around,
Ronto,
Ronto.
I had one of these. I was like, oh, this is
Same.
important. It's a new character.
Yep. Yeah. No. And hey, I felt like the creature design, it fit in. Like it felt like
Yeah.
Star Wars to me. It was fine. It made sense in that scene. Jawa driving him through town. Very Flintstones.
Yes.
It was.
It's
It was
living.
cool. Had to get this figure when it came out. It's got a action mechanism as well. I believe is it the back leg that you move to make the head. I think it's that back. Yeah. And so the Jawa like swings off of it. Awesome. Again, incorporated in a way that doesn't really stand out. It's a hidden mechanism. You don't have to worry about it if you just want to display the thing. Great piece. Really,
now, is that
really
showing
fantastic.
a running color change that was done to it, or is that just a weird lighting? 'Cause
I'm
it
guessing
is
it's
very
like
much brown.
I'm guessing it's like Castle Grayskull, where a lot of them were just sort of hand spray painted, and each one got a little bit of a different treatment.
Because yours has a little more green on it or whatever.
Well, this is very brown. This is a very brown. Yeah, it's a very tan.
This is the only Ronto they've ever made, right?
I think so.
I don't think they've ever re-released it, have they?
Yeah.
Or done any other version in any other line.
Yeah.
But it is one of those definitive. I mean, you don't.
Absolutely.
It looks like the paint job is great on it. You could probably do a slight wash on it if you really wanted to tweak it. Even the pack on the back, the detailing is really solid. And there's still hundreds of thousands of them out in the wild. So
it's so cheap.
There's no way you're not going to find a Ronto. And the Jawa is not bad if you just want to plus your Jawa ranks.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right. Well, that wraps up part 1 of Star Wars Power of the Force 2, 1997. We close out our episodes with name that original retail price. I'll do a couple from this year. Basic figures. Where were we about on basic figures in 97?
$5. I was gonna say $5.
$5. $4.99. $4.99.
Walmart. That's my Walmart price.
Creature sets.
15 to 20.
I'm gonna say 12.
Ken's closer, 15 or 14.99.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Ken would have run with Price is Right rules, so
yeah,
that's true. The rules are very loose. They don't really have much. Let's see. Okay. The Spirit of Obi-Wan. What was the cost of Spirit of Obi-Wan? What was the total with
counting
UPCs?
The figures you had to get with UPC?
How many proof of purchases?
Frito. How many bags of chips?
Yeah,
I would say 5 proof of purchases and $250 for shipping.
Okay.
And handling. I forgot shipping and handling.
Yes, handling. Right. Yeah, I have no idea. I don't. I'll. Yeah, $1, Bob.
It says 3 proof of purchases or later $7 through the fan club.
Oh, okay.
Cantina band.
No shipping and handling.
No, it doesn't say any shipping or handling.
No check that you had to get someone else to write because you didn't have a checking account at that time.
Oh, okay, the Bomar Monk did have shipping and handling, so it was an internet exclusive figure. What was original price plus the shipping and handling?
Plus shipping and handling,
or just like give me price and the shipping. What?
Yeah, I was gonna say 10 as well. So
little over $5.99 plus $2 or $1.99 shipping.
Okay, so right around $8.
This is kind of interesting. The Cantina band member fan club exclusive was how much?
It's got to be less than the Bomar Monk, right?
It's more.
So, because it came with the instruments as well. Is that closer to 10?
Dan says no.
Stupid. No, I'm saying that's stupid. I bought like 5 of those things.
Okay, well, it says here.
Well,
it was.
I want to say the
clip
final,
out. Dan just saying that's stupid.
I want to say it was like $35 for the whole set to get 5.
So it was $9 plus $1.50 shipping for 1
and handling.
Or 5 for $45 plus $5 shipping.
Jesus Christ!
Not counting the mezzanine.
Yeah. And then Luke Skywalker was free at participating theaters while they lasted.
Does it say what just out of curiosity, it's not in this line, what the Han was? The Fruit Loops Han?
I'd have to go back to what year? Was that 96?
That was the previous year, wasn't it?
Or 2 years ago? Or was that 95?
This says $40 in 1997 is the equivalent of $80 today.
Jeez.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking I'm very irresponsible for buying those back then.
But you had to have a whole
I
set.
had to. You don't know which one's going to be worth $1 million.
You know what?
5.
An emotional million? Yes.
Yeah.
You did it.
I have not owned one of those figures in years.
How soon were they gone? What happened to them? Did you
No,
sell
I
them
kept them
off?
for a long time. It was a long time before I sort of got rid of the bulk of my Power of the Force 2 stuff.
Okay, I went back to 96 is the mail away Han. I have how many proof of purchases it was for him. So any guesses?
I'm going to say 3 proofs of purchases.
I'm going to say
Okay.
4 and $1.50 shipping and handling.
Official order form, 2 proof of purchases.
Okay.
Wow, that's it? And no shipping and handling?
Doesn't say it.
I mean, you're
easy.
eating the cereal anyway.
That's easy. In college, I could eat 2 boxes of Fruit Loops in one day. That's not a problem.
Why aren't there more of those figures out there?
All right. Ken, any final thoughts about Power of the Force 97?
Or the line in general.
Yeah.
Or the line in
No,
general,
I think it's I'll leave it with the complicated feelings that I have about the line in that I do not have the same emotional attachment to it that I have to the vintage Kenner line.
Sure.
Or maybe any lines past it. Like I don't. It's weird that it has this sort of disconnected emotion to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I like that it exists. None of the figures save one from that line are on display.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just because I have the Hammerhead, the Momonadon, holding the Micro Machine AT-AT like it's a toy.
Okay.
Nice.
And that's the only one that I have, well, or a small dog. That's the only one that I have on display from that line. So it doesn't make it into any of my displays as far as the figures themselves. The creatures obviously are different than that. But the vehicles have all been supplanted. It exists mainly to kickstart Star Wars toys again.
Sure.
For me. So I like what it did. I like what it led to. And I like how I felt at the time getting excited about it again. But I don't have a deep emotional connection beyond that to any of it.
Interesting.
That's okay. That's okay.
So
I would say I kind of had a similar feel as you did and like after it. But I think for me, especially doing this series, like I've almost like re-fallen in love with it in a lot of ways.
Because of the dewback?
Mainly because of the dewback. But just looking back on it and just realizing how important, pivotal it was for me as a toy collector. Even though I haven't had any on display in a while, I feel like after this series, it is going to return to my display in some fashion. I haven't figured out how I'm going to do it yet, but because it is that important to me. But I get where you're coming from 100%. There's been better versions on a bunch of the things that they released in Power of the Force 2. But great thoughts. Dan, final thoughts on 97?
I'm still gonna stick with the I don't know where the line is between my nostalgia for these specific figures versus my nostalgia for this time in my life as a collector, where you know I didn't have a lot of obligations. I was working. I had my own money. I was living in my parents' house still, but had freedom to go do whatever I wanted to whenever I wanted to. And so it was just like, hey, I'm going toy hunting today, you know, and again, we didn't really have a lot of notice. It wasn't like the pre-order starts on Thursday and things ship in July. It was just like you could go to the store and maybe there was new stuff there. Maybe there wasn't. If there was, were you going to buy it all? Were you just going to get a couple of the figures? You know, just that excitement, that thrill of that hunting, trying to find the stuff. That's really those card backs, the figures really remind me of that time. And it was just fun and exciting. And I don't know that it's quite been the same. I'm not going to say it's worse or better. It's just a different, you know, very specific time as a collector for Star Wars, for Boba Fett, for all of this stuff that I really, really just think fondly on still to this day.
Yeah.
And it's a period in our lives when the triangle of our life was pointing outwards and expanding.
Yeah.
Like there still was opportunity and what was the future hold and
new hope,
and
if you
optimism
will.
And
yes.
It's true.
All of that.
Late 90s, it was great.
Do that again. Yeah, the music scene was really kicking.
Yes. We didn't know it would get any better than that. All right. On that note, we will wrap things up for this episode. Again, Ken, thank you so much for joining us this week. Anything coming up in your world of what you create that people should be on the lookout for?
I think you can find all that stuff at my YouTube channel or on the patreon.com/Ken Plume. Just a Few Things is a show that I do where I have people on and talk about like their 6 favorite objects from their collections. And the Star Wars specific version of that is called Force 5, which Dan has very nicely been a guest on as well. And Jay, you'll have to come on as well.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah.
I gotta watch my episode. I don't even remember what I said.
No, you don't want to revisit any of those things. Yeah. Also, who has the time for that? That was like 7 hours.
My episodes are short. Mine aren't that long. I'm like, you got 60 minutes and the clock is already running.
Well, you know what? Next time you're gonna bring photo albums with you. We're gonna go and do a slideshow. Yeah, those are the main things, and obviously following on whatever socials are left and haven't been burnt down at this point. So Blue Sky is mainly the only place that I'm really posting anything right now. So yeah, that's the places where I be at.
Awesome. Dan, you and I are getting ready for some big tripping.
I'm getting ready to follow you to Japan. We shot our last episode before I leave, so we got 2 weeks off from production. We already banked a couple episodes. History of Pac-Man, the cartoon, came out today, the day that we're recording this, and then you're out soon, and then I leave in a couple of days, and I'll meet you over there.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited. I'm already I'm in the Star Wars mindset. So I'm pumped.
Get some ramen, do some karaoke, have some fun.
Exactly.
And pick up a do-back.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Again, big thanks to Allison Troy, who does our research. And we'll see you all next time. Hasta luego and goodbye.
Later.